back, baby.
Offense, you know what to do.
It's football time in Tennessee.
Yes, you know.
Get me Tennessee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 1796 Sports Podcast. I'm your host, NormalVolFan, and I'm here joined with Ryan. We're going to be doing a little recap of yesterday's basketball game. I guess we call it that. Tennessee didn't get the win, but, I mean, finished with somewhat of heart and made a little bit of a comeback. Started really bad in the first half. Just didn't look like the Tennessee Volunteers, especially on the defensive end. Looked pretty decent on the offensive end on the first half. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, the offensive end, I mean, it was pretty good besides from beyond the arc. I mean, you ended up shooting over 50% for the game. So it's hard to – I want everybody to remember that it's still November at the time we're recording this, and we're playing pretty good teams, and this last one was on the road. So I think this team's going to be fine once they put everything together.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it's hard to remember what time of the year it is, and all these losses that they're getting are from really good teams. They're not from the little teams that, like, you look at Kentucky. I mean, they almost lost to St. Joseph's. Now that game don't look as bad, especially with St. Joseph's beating Villanova. But Tennessee isn't losing to teams like that. So they're losing to one. They're playing three of the best big men in the country. So I mean, it's just you can't really look at it. But that first half defense cannot show up ever again. That was very hard to watch.
I mean, at halftime, coming out of halftime, Myron Metcalf had interviewed Rick Barnes, and Rick Barnes apparently told the team it was the worst half he's ever seen since he's been the coach at Tennessee, which is probably why we roared back in the second half. I mean, we held them to 39 points in the second half after giving up 61 in the first. I mean, they definitely rebounded, but it's disappointing to see them come out and have such poor effort on the defensive end in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was definitely one of the ones that turned the game off very early. It reminded me of the Tennessee football team playing Missouri with zero heart, it looked like. But they did come out in the second half. I mean, we got to talk about Dalton Connect. I mean, this kid is absurd, going 13 for 17 from the field, 4 for 8 from the 3-point, and 7 for 8 from the free throw line. I mean, scoring 37 points. Absolutely nuts. I mean, it's what was it? He tied the record for most points scored by a road team in that arena.
It was the most tied for the most points scored against North Carolina ever in any game.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah, and you got to hope that his sprained ankle is not anything that's going to linger. I mean, that's probably the number one concern for the moving forward for him. But as of right now, it's still just a sprained ankle. So I think by conference play, he's going to be all right. And if we get even half of what Dalton Connect produced last night in conference play, I think we're going to be just fine.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what he needs to take away from this game, he needs to be just, I don't care if you're a ball hog. He's still not a ball hog to me. I mean, the kid's hitting most of his shots. He gets to the basket really well. I think he needs to do it way more often. And then we also got to remember, I mean, Jordan Gainey went 1 for 9 from 3. That's not going to happen a lot. It's just not. And also, Vescovy didn't take a 3 at all. So,
he didn't even score a point.
That just can't happen.
Yeah, it's disappointing to see a fifth-year senior do that, and I think the reason he only played 14 minutes was because he was just not cutting it on the defensive end. I don't know what was wrong, if it was just lack of effort or what, but or he's just he's never been the quickest defender. It was just about him being smart, being in the right spot, but he was not on either side of the court last night. So I expect him to rebound quickly.
Oh yeah, and also, I mean, he had 4 personal fouls again. I mean, the fact that
Yep.
I said this in an earlier podcast, he for some reason he seems to be in foul trouble almost every game,
Yeah.
and we can't have that, especially with him being, like you said, a fifth-year senior. You got to be a leader on the court. Um, Now, Triple J, awesome game.
Yep.
He also, I mean, obviously he's getting overlooked by Dalton Connect having 37 points, but Triple J really did keep us in that game early in the first half because he was the only one really scoring. Um, but we just can't have that from Vescovy. Same thing, like I said, I mean, Ziegler wasn't, and I get it, he's still, a little banged up with his leg, but at some point, I feel like you got to get off that whole spiel of his leg. I feel like he needs to step
Yeah.
up a little bit.
Ziegler to me, uh, he does. It looks like he's doing a lot on the offensive end when he really isn't. Like he's handling the ball and dribbling everywhere, but he's really not getting much done at this point. I know he had 7 assists, but he also played 28 minutes. I mean, he was in the game when we were coming back, which credit to him. He was giving effort on the defensive end, which is why he got that many minutes. But he just needs like I don't like when our team just watches him dribble around and wait for him to create something. It just irks me.
Right. No, I agree. But, I mean, also, I do want to talk about how Baycott, I mean, he only had 11 rebounds, which
Yeah,
is pretty low for him. I understand. I mean, he's a double-double machine, but 11 rebounds, I mean, this guy's pretty much averaging like 16 to like 20 rebounds a game. And, I give us a little bit of credit of keeping him, pretty low on the rebounds. But Ingram, the guy Ingram, he started off hot and he pretty much stayed hot the rest of the game.
yeah,
He had 20 points for them. But, I mean, I'm not really disappointed. I posted it on Twitter. The team played with heart at the end, and they showed that, I mean, they almost came back. I mean, it was pretty close. You give them probably another 10 minutes in that game, they probably win that game. And,
yeah,
people have to realize, I mean, we lost to Kansas, Purdue, and North Carolina. Those are 3 really good teams, and those are March caliber games,
yep.
especially on the road and 2 in Maui. So, I mean, can't be disappointed. I'm really not. But, Ryan, I wanted to ask you, other than Dalton Connect, did you have anything else, from the team that really stood out to you?
Well, positively, I think Adu did well on the offensive end against Baycott, but I need him to be more aggressive on the defensive end. He's had three of the best big men in the country. He's been having to guard the last 3 games, but I remember in his first year he was guarding Oscar Shibwe, and we ended up winning the game. Like he kind of kept him in check. So he's proven that he can do it. But this year he's let all 3 of these big men and Edie Dickinson and Baycott get way too deep in the paint, and he's
Mm-hmm.
taking fouls. He fouled out again, and it's tough when you don't have a Waka to spell him, and you're relying on Carr and Phillips, Estrella and K Phillips behind him. But I just need to see more from Adu on the defensive end, and I'm sure he'll look a lot better when he's not playing 3 of the best big men in the country. So
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, we still have one tough game in this next, 5 or 6. I think, yeah, 6 game slate coming up. I mean, we have a big homestand of 6 games. Uh, it's if I'm Barnes, I'm sitting Connect for this George Mason game.
yeah,
And letting him heal up a lot longer, and then hopefully he's back fully healthy by the Illinois game. Because Illinois is not going to be a joke. I mean, they're a pretty good team. We're just lucky it's at home.
yep,
But you got a nice little 6 game slate here to really boost the confidence going into conference play. So we'll be able to, hopefully boost some confidence and not lose a game. Because, I mean, I'll be happy going 10-3 into conference play.
yeah, for sure. I think at this point you've gotten through your gauntlet to start the year. So that if we lose the game before conference play now, I will be thoroughly disappointed. I think you should be able to beat Illinois at home. And NC State on the road is no cakewalk, but I think that a team as talented as we are should be able to pull up that win if we don't show up for an entire half. So I'm expecting us to be 10-3 going to the conference play for sure.
Yeah, me too. I mean, and even watching a lot of the conference teams play, I'm not really scared of any teams. I mean, really the only team I know is going to be a battle the whole time is Kentucky so far that I've watched. I mean, Texas A&M ain't bad either, but it's a team that I think we could beat, and I'm not really sweating it. Same thing as Arkansas. Like, I mean, it's not the Arkansas from last year.
Yeah.
Missouri, same things. Missouri hasn't looked good either. So, also Auburn. Actually, Auburn's a little sleeper too. I mean, we only play them once, I think. So, but still, Auburn is another tough one. But this team, man, we have insane depth. Dalton Connect is him, and as long as we keep him healthy and spread the ball around, I understand. He is our offense, but man, we have so many people that can shoot. Don't be afraid to shoot the ball, take it to the basket, get fouled, get to the line, and keep the defense up. We cannot have a defense like the first half yesterday, or I mean, like I said, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think Rick Barnes is going to take them and really shove this film down their throat.
Yeah, I mean the defense was inexcusable in the first half. Talking about Arkansas, Kentucky, A&M. I mean, Arkansas was able to beat Duke at home, but Bud Walton Arena is a house of horrors for anybody who any road team that goes in there. Like, they normally don't fare well. Kentucky was able to beat Miami at home, and A&M got sat on by Virginia for 40 minutes. So the only one it's like you said, the only one I'm really worried about is Kentucky. I think it's going to be tough to beat them at wherever we play them, but I certainly think that we have the horses to do it. And talking about Connect and wanting to spread the wealth a little bit, it seems that in these last three games we've used our play, like we've tried to isolate Gainey and certain players, and we're not really moving the ball. And like there's this viral clip of the San Antonio Spurs where they pass it like 30 times in one possession and get a layup. Like, if we do that, whoever has the ball, if they're open, is going to be able to do something. I would rather us do something like that than just isolate somebody and trust them to make a shot. Because, like, Gainey, he's been in a slump shooting. There's no doubt about it. And I think it's partly because he's not a true isolation type player. I think if he's a spot-up shooter or shooting in rhythm off a good pass, he's going to do a lot better. So I would like to see the offense be a little bit more fluid. And if you're going to run it through anybody, like a person that you're going to trust to run it through, it needs to be Connect if you're going to choose to do that.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. I think there's no really question about that. But honestly, I'm not mad about that. It's just his ball handling skills isn't as good as his scoring ability, obviously. I mean, he'll get kind of trapped up a lot of times because of his ball handle. And maybe it's just the nerves. I don't know, but it seems to be pretty consistent.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe he could clean that up. But, I mean, he hasn't had any scoring problems even with that. So, but, I mean, if I'm any other team, I'm doubling him every chance I get and not letting him score.
Yeah. If you run the offense through him, which we did in the stretch where we got it cut down to 7, like, they had to double him. And when he got doubled, Gainey made his only 3 of the game. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think he's the only player who can truly run it and be worthy of getting a double team. Because everybody else, you're going to have to rely on jump shots. But Connect can consistently get to the rim. I mean, he's incredible. Whenever he gets there, even if there's 2 or 3 players in front of him, he's going to find a way to get a shot up or get fouled. Like, he was outstanding in the second half last night. And I think when we're trailing in games from now on, Connect is going to be the guy who we're running the offense through, and that is A-okay with me.
Oh yeah, I mean anyone that says otherwise doesn't know ball. I mean this kid is absurd. I mean if he looks like a kid that would be playing at Kansas right now and would be playing on a top caliber, blue blood team. And he it's just got to stay healthy, especially with these little, I wouldn't say little teams, but smaller teams coming to town and smaller games coming up. You got to remain healthy and keep it that way. But I mean, other than that, there's not really much to talk about with this game other than Connect and Triple J. But like I said, I kind of want to get back to Vescovy real quick. He needs to be confident with his shot. Like, I feel like he's been so hesitant with shooting the ball. Yeah. Like, how many times is he going to do his little pump? I understand his pump fake's great, but man, you got to shoot the ball. Get confidence, because when he's scoring and playing because once he scores, it's like he's a different person on defense. It's like he becomes an animal, and he needs to be that every single game. So just take some shots. I mean, we all know you could shoot. So it's, I think whatever happened with his personal life is really getting to him, and it's completely understandable. But, you got to get confidence, got to be shooting the ball and, staying on the offensive end as well.
Yeah, I mean, if he starts hitting shots and being confident, like, teams are not going to be able to double Connect if we decide to go that route, because do you really want to leave Vescovy wide open in the corner?
Vescovy, Gainey, Triple J, yeah. I mean, even Zakai. I mean, you can't leave these guys wide open.
No, and if Vescovy starts making shots, I mean, we scored 92 points last night, and if he starts making shots, I think we could easily get well into the 100s, like even in the 100 teens if we're hitting on all cylinders.
Especially against these little teams coming up.
Yeah, and it's just the most frustrating thing to me about last night was that we finally started hitting some shots, because we took it to the rim instead of shooting the three first. We kind of dished out for threes in the second half, but we scored 92 points, but our defense let us down, which was the complete opposite in Maui, which is, it's hard to put everything together this early in the season with a few transfers, and there's a guy still coming off an injury. But if we're able to put it together in these next 6 games going into conference play, the sky's the limit still. So,
yeah, I still think the sky's the limit for this team. It's just, you got to throw these last 3 losses in the back burner. I mean, like you said at the beginning of the podcast, it's only November, and there's plenty of basketball to be played, and all these games, all the games ahead of us are extremely winnable.
Mm-hmm.
And, all you got to do is go get it, especially in conference play. There's only 2 teams that I think that are worthy to be like, oh, okay, this could be a good game, and that's A&M and Kentucky. Even Bama, but Bama at home is not going to be trouble. It's going to be on the road. But we've seen this team play on the road, which, again, doesn't make me worry about being on the road anymore.
Yeah, you'd rather lose these games now and learn from them than doing it in March. Okay,
exactly.
Obviously. So, I mean, and even playing these games, I think I talked about it the last time we did a basketball podcast or the Maui preview or whatever. Even playing these types of games is going to put your net and Ken Palm and everything higher than it would be, even if you lose to it. It's good to play these games. It's good to learn from them, because when you're coming up just short against these terrific teams that are probably going to be in the Elite Eight, Sweet 16 now, you're going to be 10 times better come middle of conference play and headed into the tournament. So I'm definitely not disappointed. We just got to keep on meshing and keep on putting everything together in these next 6 games, and we'll be able to be ready to run conference play.
Yeah, and conference play is where it's at. I seriously think this team can 100% win the SEC still, and still I believe are the front runners. I think Kentucky's a close second. It's just you got to clean up these little things. You got 6 games in front of you to clean it up, and we'll see. I mean, conference play is going to be tough, but a lot of teams you could beat.
Absolutely. And you talked about it a little bit earlier about maybe set and connect in these against George Mason next Tuesday. I want to see Cameron Carr. I want to see Dillion whenever he's healthy. I want to see DJ Jefferson. I want to see a lot of these players in these games that you should be able to win by 30 or 40 points. Like build the depth now, so you're not having to do it in conference play when, God forbid, we have an injury. Like, go ahead and get them some time now, because last year during these little games, Barnes was kind of hesitant to play the freshman. So I really hope that he gets these guys some run in these games before conference play.
I mean, you got to. I think that's a really good point. I mean, you have to, because, like you said, some injury comes about and you're in conference play playing a big game. I mean, you can't have these guys coming in for their first 5 minutes of the season.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, we all knew this was going to be a little short, podcast, but Tennessee is not out of it, people. Sometimes you see me on Twitter and you act like, people think I'm a Negavol. It's more frustration because I know this team is so much better than what we saw last night.
Yeah.
And it's hard to realize it's November when your team's this good. But we got to saddle up. It's a very long season. So, and I still think this team's going to be in March, no problem, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like you said, we've been harping on it. It's still November. This isn't football where if you lose 1 or 2 games, it's season's over. Like, it's a lot different. I think a lot of Tennessee fans struggle with that because we haven't been used to being good in basketball for too long. It's only been the last 15, 20 years. So I think everybody's still learning that. And I hope people don't hold it against you for things you say in the heat of a game on Twitter. That's just silly.
Oh, no. I mean, Twitter's Twitter. It's more of me thinking that because, like, dude, I can't even lie. Yesterday had me so frustrated. It got to the point I seriously turned the game off. I couldn't watch it. It was getting me so frustrated because it was not the Tennessee basketball team. It felt like a B team was playing.
Yeah, and that's what gives me confidence. It's so uncharacteristic for us to no-show on defense. So,
I guarantee that Rick Barnes is in their ass.
Absolutely. And it's like I said to start this thing. He said it was the worst half he has seen his team play while he's been at Tennessee. So I'm confident that they're going to come out like gangbusters against George Mason and carry that momentum into Illinois. So,
well, I mean, I'll guarantee it right now. This is going to be the only 3-loss streak you'll see this whole season. I guarantee it.
I would bet my mortgage on that.
It's not going to happen. I don't even see us losing 2 in a row. This team is going to come out, gain some confidence these next couple games, and I guarantee you will not see 2 losses in a row again this season.
100%. There you have it.
So anyway, we appreciate everyone listening. Make sure to follow us all on Twitter and Instagram. Also check out our website at the1796sports.com for any other content. We cover the Memphis Grizzlies, the Predators, and all Tennessee sports. So make sure you click on that. I'll have it in the description of the YouTube video and the Spotify description. So again, we appreciate you listening, and as always, go Vols.
Go Vols.